Let me ask you something, and I need you to be honest with yourself. When was the last time he called you, not to come over, but just to hear your voice? Just because he missed you? Here's what I've seen over and over again counseling women in my practice. Women who are educated, successful, emotionally intelligent, completely blind to the fact that the man they're catching feelings for has never once been interested in who they are. He knows your body. He doesn't know your dreams. He knows what time you're free. He doesn't know what you're afraid of. He knows how to make you feel wanted for a night, and somehow that's been enough to keep you coming back, wondering, hoping, rearranging your worth around a man who has never lost a single night of sleep over you. And the painful part? He's not hiding it. It's all right there. You just needed someone to show you where to look. So that's what we are doing today. By the end of this video, you're going to know with zero doubt whether the man in your life wants you or just what you give him. And if it's the latter, you're going to know exactly what to do about it. The most common question I get from women in this situation isn't, how do I know? It's, how did I not know sooner? And I want to answer that. Honestly, you didn't miss it because you were naive. You didn't miss it because you were desperate. You missed it because he was consistent, just not in the way that counts. See, a man who only wants you for sex is not the man you think he is. He's not always the careless guy who never calls. He's not always cold or dismissive. In fact, the ones who keep women stuck the longest are the ones who are just attentive enough, just warm enough, just present enough to keep the door open without ever fully walking through it. He's affectionate, but mostly when you're alone for sex. He says the right things, but his actions never quite catch up. And what happens is, your brain, which is wired to find patterns and meaning, starts filling in the blanks. You take the 20% he gives and your heart writes a whole story around it. You start explaining away the distance. You start believing that if you just love him right, if you're just patient enough, if you just give it a little more time, he'll show up fully. That's not a character flaw, that's hope, and hope is not the problem. The problem is staying loyal to a version of someone that only exists in the story you wrote. Here's the clinical truth, and I say this as someone who has sat with hundreds of women processing exactly this kind of relationship. There's a specific profile of man who pursues physical intimacy without emotional investment. And he is not confused. He is not emotionally unavailable because of his past, his trauma, his busy season at work. He is unavailable because you are not what he is looking for. Stop trying to fix something that was never broken. It was just never yours. So how do you see it clearly? You look at the behavior, not the words, not the potential, not the situationship you've built in your head, the behavior. And there are 5 signs, 5 very specific patterns that tell you everything you need to know. Let's go through them one by one. Number 1, he invests in access, not in you. Pay close attention to where his effort goes. A man who wants you, all of you, invests in your comfort, your world, your time. He makes plans. He shows up to things that matter to you. But a man who only wants access to your body, he invests just enough to maintain that access. He will pick you up, yes. He will take you out. He might even be generous, but trace every gesture back to its root, and you'll find the same destination every single time. Sex, it's not about you. It's about what comes after. A man who wants you invest in the relationship even when sex is off the table. If you took sex off the table, would he still be there? Would he still be calling? Would there still be a we? If the honest answer is no, that's your sign. Number 2, your conversations never go beneath the surface. Think about the last real conversations you had with him. Not the small talk, not the how was your day that he asks while his attention is somewhere else. I mean real conversation where he asked you something that required thought, where he wanted to understand how your mind works, where he sat with you in something heavy and didn't immediately try to fix it or redirect it to something lighter. Can you think of one? Because here's what I know, emotional intimacy's work. It requires curiosity. It requires patience. It requires a man to care about what's happening inside of you, not just on the outside. A man who only wants you physically will unconsciously, and sometimes very consciously, keep the relationship in shallow water. Because depth creates attachment. Depth creates obligation. Depth means he'd have to show up in ways he has no intention of showing up. So the conversations stay fun, flirty, surface level. And you wanting more, start volunteering your depth, sharing your stories, your scars, your dreams, and he receives them warmly enough to keep you talking. But he never matches it. He never reciprocates with the same vulnerability. You know everything about what you feel for him. He knows just enough about you to keep you interested. Number 3, he disappears after intimacy and reappears when he wants it again. This is the one women feel in their gut, long before they're ready to name it. There's a rhythm. You probably already know it. Things are warm, attentive, almost romantic, and then you're together, and then slowly things cool. The texts get shorter, the energy shifts. He gets busy. And just when you have talked yourself into pulling back, just when you have started to create distance, he reappears. Warm again, present again, attentive again, and the cycle resets. What you're experiencing is not a complicated man. It is a very simple transaction being managed with just enough emotional currency to keep the account open. He is not pushing and pulling because he's confused about his feelings. He is pushing and pulling because it works. Because every time he comes back, you receive him. And that reception, your warmth, your forgiveness, your hope, is exactly what he's returning for. The disappearing is not accidental, it is the pattern. And the pattern is the message. Number 4, he has no interest in your life outside of him. Your career, your friendships, your family, your goals. The thing you've been building quietly that means everything to you. Does he know about it? Does he ask about it? A man who sees a future with you wants to know your world. He wants to meet the people who shaped you. He wants to understand your ambitions, because your ambitions tell him who you're becoming, and he wants to be relevant to that woman. A man who only wants you for sex has no use for that information, because your goals, your people, your inner world, none of that is what he's here for. So he'll smile and nod politely when you bring it up. He may even say something encouraging, but he never follows up. He never asks, how did that go? He never remembers the thing you told him was keeping you up at night. Because he wasn't really listening, he was waiting. You are not a person he's building something with. You are a place he visits, number 5. He has never once made you feel emotionally safe. Emotional safety is not the absence of conflict. Emotional safety is the quiet confidence that you can bring your full self, your fears, your needs, your expectations, and not be punished for it. It's knowing that if you say, I need more from this, you won't be made to feel crazy or clingy. How does he respond when you express a need? When you ask for something real, consistency, clarity, a label, a future, what happens in the room? Does he lean in? Or does he redirect, minimize, joke it off? Or go quiet just long enough to make you wish you hadn't brought it up? Because a man who wants all of you makes room for all of you, including the parts that are inconvenient. He doesn't make you rehearse conversations before you have them. He doesn't make you manage his reaction on top of your own emotions. But a man who only wants one thing from you, he will, consciously or not, train you to keep your needs small. Because your needs, if fully expressed, would require him to become someone he has no interest in becoming for you. So you shrink, you stop asking, you tell yourself you're being too sensitive. And the relationship continues on his terms, at his pace, for his benefit. Those are the 5 signs. And if you recognize yourself in 2 or more of them, don't look away from that. Because the next question isn't, is this happening? The real question is, why are you still there? Let me be honest with you. The reason most women stay in such relationship is because she's confusing intensity for intimacy. Yes, the beginning was electric, you remember it. The attention felt consuming. The chemistry felt like confirmation, like your body was telling you something true. And in those early moments, it did feel real. It felt like something. But here's the distinction I want you to understand. Intensity is not intimacy. Passion is not partnership. A man can want you with everything in him, physically, and feel absolutely nothing for the person you are on the inside. But because the feeling was so strong, so immediate, so difficult to recreate, you held on to it. You decided that what you felt in those moments was the foundation. And you've been trying to rebuild that feeling ever since, not realizing that what you felt was heat, not warmth. And heat without substance underneath, it always burns out. So now you know the signs. And now you understand why it's been hard to walk away, which means you're ready for the only thing that actually matters, what you do next. The truth that changes everything. The decision that only you can make. I want to close with something that I don't think gets said enough. A man who wants you for sex is not your problem. A woman who accepts that as enough, that's where the real conversation begins. Because at some point, and I say this with full compassion, no judgment, you made a decision. Maybe not consciously. Maybe not in one moment. But slowly, quietly, through 100 small compromises, you decided that some of him was better than none of him. That the warmth, even when it was inconsistent, was worth the cold. That keeping the door open just in case was safer than closing it and walking away empty-handed. And I understand that decision. I've sat with women who made it, smart women, strong women, women who knew better and stayed anyway, because knowing and feeling are 2 very different things. But here is what I need you to hear. You were not built to be a convenience. You were not designed to be available on someone else's terms, wanted in private and unacknowledged in public, kept close enough to use and far enough to never fully have. That is not love. That is not even a relationship. That is an arrangement, and somewhere inside you, you have always known the difference. The question was never really, does he want me? The real question, the one that will change your life when you finally answer it honestly, is this. Do I want a man who only wants part of me? Or do I finally want someone who wants all of me? The conversation, the dreams, the hard days, the becoming, not just my body. Because the moment you truly decide that you will no longer make yourself small to fit inside someone else's limitations, everything shifts. The way you date shifts. The way you screen men shifts. The things you tolerate, the things you require, all of it shifts. You stop auditioning. You start selecting. And that shift from woman who is chosen to woman who chooses is the most powerful transition you will ever make in your love life. He only wanted you for sex. Let that be the last time you settle for a man who doesn't know what he has. Now, if this video hits something real for you, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, save this video. You're going to want to come back to it. And you're going to want to send it to someone you love who needs to hear this today. Second, drop a comment below. Tell me which sign hit the hardest, or tell me where you are right now. I read every single one, and sometimes just naming it is the beginning of moving through it. And third, if you are not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This channel exists for one reason: to give you the clarity, the language, and the courage to build a love life that actually reflects your worth. You deserve that, not someday now. I'll see you in the next one.